The most amazing thing of astrology is it's a blueprint. The moment you were born, it's like a specific moment. There is a place, there is a date, there is a time. So it's like a fingerprint of universe.
Moon calendar, working with cycles. How does it look like?
A lot of layered ancient wisdom in it to remind people that if they go back to the cycles of nature, they be more in tune with their own power. I know the power of nature.
A lot of people, particularly when they're stuck in survival mode, that's being on stress all day long, all the time. They're so used to living a certain rhythm, a certain life, and we can sometimes get stuck in it even if we don't like it.
There's so much knowledge in us, and I think everything becomes a miracle instead of that you are just running around like crazy, every day.
I'm not happy with the life that I'm living, but I'm scared.
For me, I found out that there are two ways. Or you are a victim, or you see it as an opportunity for growth.
Welcome to another episode of Real, Raw and Authentic. I am in Amsterdam and I've been invited by Jetteke van Lexmond. She is here with me in her beautiful home. She is the former Vogue editor and now the founder of Moon Sisters. It's the 7th year of her moon calendar, and I'm very curious to speak to her today. Thank you, Jetteke, for having me in your beautiful home. It's really nice.
Thank you for being in your podcast.
So wonderful to have you. You shared with me, and that everyone knows you also as the Vogue editor and someone who's very much in the fashion field. It's a busy life, I can imagine, and a lot of people have busy lives, but how did you transition from that busy, high-paced life into your new life?
I was working for many years as a fashion editor for Vogue, and then of course a few times a year you travel to Milan and New York and Paris for the shows, and I created like fashion shoots all over the world with teams, and it was a very busy life. And I think it was quite masculine how I, to get the job done, because it's, just go, go, go. And I think later on when the moon came into my life, I first combined it. So it was extra busy. And then later on, I found out that it gave me so much purpose. The moon, not only the moon, but like to bring back like old ancient knowledge to people. I think we sometimes forget it, because when we grow up, we get a lot of knowledge in school. But I think this knowledge was missing for me, and to bring it back in something beautiful made, like, with the gold around and then full color printing and all them beautiful illustrations. That's, I think, my sort of aesthetic background that I still could use, because nothing was gone from me, like I still love to make everything more beautiful, only now with a lot of layered of ancient wisdom in it, and to remind people that if they go back to the cycles of nature, they be more in tune with their own power. There's so much knowledge in us, and if you unveil it, then life becomes so much nicer, so much more joy, and I think everything becomes a miracle instead of that you are just running around like crazy, every day.
When you come from a, let's say, doing profession, similar to like yours, being on this high-paced work environment where everything is doing, achieving, on to the next, basically living also a little bit in the future already for future goals.
Always.
How did you find that or accessed that inner wisdom? Was there one or two things you would say, this is something that changed me, or this helped me? What did you do?
I think I grew up in a small village in nature, so I think my roots are nature, and that helped me, I think, to sort of like, I know the power of nature, to be barefoot, and I was always with the forest in our backyard, with the animals. So my first love is nature. And also when I was an editor, I always sort of weaved the nature in the fashion shoots. So the elements were for me very important. But I have to say that the to really feel that moment when I was in the Jura and she was talking about the moon and she was very down to earth. It was something like, you can do whatever you want with it, but for us it works amazing. So in a way I felt like it was an opportunity for me to dig in it and to I was curious, because there was something burning inside me, and I was like, wow, I feel that what she's telling me now, it's something like magic, something like wisdom I did not know it existed, the co-creating with the planets and those kind of things I did not know. I was always mesmerized by how beautiful the stars look and the moon, but I did not know there had a certain kind of wisdom in it and that you could co-create with it. And there is a cycle that comes back over and over again. I did not know.
Sounds amazing. For someone who's never heard about the moon calendar, working with cycles, or doing things, certain ancient rituals, or bringing things in from the past, how does that look like? Can you explain a little bit what it is and what you do in the day? Or
no, I think for me it was very important that maybe it helps that I always had a life that it was like flying around the world, business meetings, creating, I think many people has like a busy life. So it's good that I always had that kind of life. So for me, the moon calendar is something to make it easy and to make it light and to bring back knowledge, but not like that it is too much in one. So the 365 days, it makes it that it's just spread out and it's like positive quotes to remind that I think being grateful over the day, because for example, being grateful is one of the highest frequencies. And also like in baby steps that you know that in small things, you can change your life so big. And I think with the moon calendar, I try to put with the team as much as possible in, but then spread out over 365 days. So the cosmic weekly update you get for free every Monday when you scan the QR. And then you get our team is a team of astrologers, but also intuitives. And they work together, so you get something extra. So they really feel what kind of energy is going on in universe, on Earth. And then you get you get to know more about why things happen and why you feel that so many people had like a very difficult time, because sometimes you have that planets are retrograde, and then not one planet is retrograde, but sometimes 5 at once. Last time we had 5 at one. And then I think, you feel like, it was such a hard time, so much happened to me. I felt sick. There was, I could not come sort of out of bed. There was so much popping up. And it makes sense if you then feel like it was not only happening with me, but so many people around me, then you're like, oh, wow. So it's not that when you start with, for example, living by this energy and by this knowledge, that directly it happens, you have to give it a sort of space and time. And I always say first believe and then see. So I think that's something that you just have to be open, and it has to be light, and it has to be just as sort of a new experience, new adventure of bringing something extra in your life.
wow, that's powerful. But you're describing a life, and we talked a little bit beforehand about it, a life that previous life you had. It's not that you're a different person, but the work that you did was doing based on force.
Yeah.
Sometimes we work a lot, become really working bees, we go down that everything has to be up to perfection.
Yeah.
To how would you describe it now?
And now it's the opposite, because in the beginning I still had that energy also with building the brand. So then I was chasing a lot, and I was like, okay, I have to email this person and email that company. But I know that it did not work around. The magic was the whole time by doing nothing. And, I felt, I really feel now that this is a purpose that came in my life, and that I had to bring this amazing knowledge in a very light version, how it looks, and also the aesthetics, that that this is my job, a bridge to bring this back into the world. And it's everywhere in the world, from Hong Kong to Thailand to Australia to New York to LA, everywhere you can buy or find, or people are like living by the moon calendar. And for me, it was wonderful to feel that all the magic things happened. They were like just as presents out of the sky. I could not think about it. It was impossible to get it done by chasing it.
Do you have an example of that magic that immediately?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that happened, it was directly in the beginning, so that made sense already, that it was sort of a present, that it worked like that, universe. So we first made it in Dutch, because I started the company with my sister, and my sister and I, we are Dutch, so just for that market. And then a friend of ours, she lives in LA, and she is very good friends with Gwyneth Paltrow, and they were drinking tea in the house of my friend, and then the moon calendar was just there on the table, and she picked it up, and she just loved it, how it looked like, and she was asking things about it. And then our friends, he said, like, yeah, my friends in Holland, they make it. And this kind of things, it's sort of impossible to get, at Goop yourself.
Yeah.
And then, I think there was like a bigger thing that it worked out a different way. But then Gwyneth Paltrow asked, like, would you like to make it in English? And that Goop is the companion for USA and Canada, like exclusive. Wow. So those kind of things, that was for us a magic thing, because it helped us by slowing down and also surrender to like the bigger thing, and see, okay, what's going to happen. And many things like this happened afterwards. And it were like blessings, I think, from the sky, and also like to show, just go on and just do your thing, and make another one, and go on with what you're doing.
That is amazing. And you're very much attuned with the universe, or also within yourself? Was it
Well,
always like this?
If you work with this kind of information, you work with amazing people, and they bring something to your life. So you learn every day, like we all, of course, learn every day. But I think the way I learned to work with energy, and also that we only can see 1%, and the rest is all energy, or like magic, or how do you, something we can't see or just hold. And then sometimes you get like the idea, like, oh, you can co-create with like your team. We all have a team. You can't see them. Most of the people can't see it, but you can work together with them. And if you ask them things from the heart, you will see what happens. And then I started to do it because, it was a hard time. It was just like someone so friendly who told me this. And I was like, yeah, it costs nothing. And, it's going so, I had a very difficult time. And then I was just asking my angels, like, okay, if you are there, can you help me with this? Yeah. And can you show me if you're there with a very like a proper sign or something like that? And it went so quick. So directly I was like, oh my goodness, is this like a coincidence? And then she warned me, like, don't think it's a coincidence, but just be grateful and thank them. And I was like, okay, I'm going to thank them. Why not? Because I think it is magic that something so quick happened. And then over time, I experienced this over and over again, but like beautiful things. Then you're gonna see that there is so much more that we can't see, and you embrace like the miracle of life more. So, and sometimes people say like, but I'm very down to earth. So, and then I'm like, yeah, but I'm also very down to earth. Only I love adventure. I love to explore. I'm always curious, and I think why not? It's nothing to do with down to earth. I think down to earth is to stick and to stay in a box, and think magic isn't happening. Is not. It's everything is a coincidence. Or you say like, okay, I don't fit in a box, and I like to explore, and I like to just be open for whatever is. And it could be that life is so much more magic than we think, because I'm always very inspired by nature. And then you have like the flower of life and Fibonacci, and if you dive into this kind of things, you see that if you zoom in on a flower or like on an animal, or then I think life is so magical. So I really like can't understand that people then tell sometimes me or something others to other people like I'm so down to earth, and I'm like, oh, but then maybe zoom in on everything what is around you, how crystals are created, just by the earth itself. They're beautiful. Yeah, how a star is, the composition of a star, how a baby is, grown in a body. That is magical. All those things. I think this is also magical, but you look with a different eye.
Mm-hmm.
And
I feel adults have lost that.
Yeah.
That I almost feel like it's a metaphor to the inner child that experience magic and experience adventure, the things that you just shared. Do you feel a lot of adults have lost that along the way of life?
Sure, but I think then I look back at my old life, and then I was running around like crazy. So you're so busy with your agenda, so you don't have time for the magic,
Yeah, you make excuses also for not.
Now busy, maybe tomorrow. Yeah. And now I'm like, no, but everything is special now. So my whole experience of life, I'm so much more grateful, and I see beauty in everything. So for me, it's the opposite now.
But it's so fascinating because you're very successful for what you've done, and you are still doing. You've built an incredible international brand. But based on what you're saying, everyone else would probably think the same. It's like, yeah, but you are now successful. You've done something great. Now you can slow down. But is slowing down equals that it's lazy, or that you're not getting the success that you hope for? Is hard work equaling success in your perspective?
I think, of course, if you work hard, you can. I think you always have to have a passion, and if you wake up, thank that you just wake up, thank the day, there's a new day coming. And I think you always need like your energy and your passion to go for things. But they're really chasing what I did before in my old life and the forcing. I think it is actually it has something, I don't know, it's not a very nice energy actually, because there's more stress in it, and there is more of a I don't know, it is something that it's not really appealing to me anymore. And I like to grow, and I like to just of course that my business grows. I think that's amazing, but I trust much more. So I still do a lot of work, but in a different rhythm. So that's what I experience. So there's more trust in that the thing that is for me will come on my path.
Is that also linked to the divine timing?
I think so. I think there is divine. Everything was meant for you will come on your path, you know.
Is that what's the definition of divine timing? It's like everything that's meant for you will come on your path?
Yeah, and sometimes that you can chase, but then you were like, why is it not working? And then, for example, you surrender and you're like, I don't know it anymore. And then after a while, it comes on your path and you're like, hey, but how is it possible? This mail is sent like 2 months ago. I was not even thinking about it anymore. And then when you sort of forgot about it,
Yeah.
then you get like an email and you're like, oh my goodness, they come back to me and they in the end say yes or whatever you want. But you almost forgot about it. And I think then you feel that just by surrendering and trust and the intention is made and then you just let it go. I think that's something.
For someone who's never heard about intention or surrender or divine timing, how would that look like as an example?
I think you just have to start with small things. And just there is, for example, that's the nice thing of the moon calendar. It helps you like with baby steps. So, for example, explains about the energy of being grateful. And if you learn to be grateful just during the day, then you feel that and you thank for the small things that happens. Could be like if you walk the dog and you speak with someone on the street and it's such a nice person and you know you're like, oh, thank you for this nice chat. And then it becomes more. That's what I found out. So everything gets like, you know, it's a ripple effect. Being kind. I think for me to find out that be the change you want to see in the world. So stop only pointing to other people, but start with like sort of getting mirrors around you to see what happens and how you act during the day. And then feel like, oh, maybe it's great to to maybe be a different person. And that's not going like overnight, you know, but in small steps.
Just stacking up. On
just being more kind and more friendly to yourself, for yourself. I think that's something that also helped me.
Just so fascinating
It to myself.
that you're saying this, because it's maybe a stigma, and I'm not in the business, but when you think of, and my apologies if I offend anyone, but if you think of fashion world, you don't think it's a very friendly environment or very kind. It's not the initial thing that comes up, at least for me, or a friendly, warm and welcoming environment. It feels like there is more friction, there's more judgment. And how was it something that you applied already in your work beforehand?
I think the great thing is that I was always the person who was choosing like the teams. So I chose the teams. So then you are like in charge of who's the photographer, who's the hair and makeup artist, who's the model. So I always loved making amazing things with beautiful, very kind-hearted people. So I had to say that almost my whole fashion life, or how you call it, like this part of when I was working only in fashion, I worked with beautiful people. And then, of course, you have sometimes that you have to do a lot of, you know, running around, talking with the people from the model agencies, from the big houses, from the fashion brands. And then you find out that it can be very tough and very, like, you know, it's very energy draining, I can say. And then in the end, I thought like, enough, you know, I made so many fashion shoots. How many can I make more? And this really gives me fulfillment, especially because I think that if you change yourself and be more kind, then you're more kind to the world. And that's the ripple effect we need in this world, because it's so, you know, it's I don't follow any politics. I don't follow any news anymore, because also the frequency of fear. I found out that it's such a, it really goes into your
Negative
veins,
effects.
and it didn't make me a better person, and it makes you like scared of other people. And when I was a very young girl, I always told my parents I don't see any lines from the borders, from the countries, because then you, for example, go from Spain to France, and then they were like, yeah, we go over the border. And I was always like, but why is it, that I don't see lines. I don't see why the problem of, we are all one. And I think if you go back to this childish kind of feeling, we are all one, and not seeing any news, don't follow the politics, but just be the meaning politics it's yourself just during the day. Be kind, help where you can, be friendly, be open for someone's story. You don't know anything about what people go through, and yeah, just enjoy the seasons, and let it inspire you when the leaves fall off. There's also a moment in your life. It could be like in the day, but it could also be in your life that that there's changing of seasons, and you can embrace it and see like, okay, I have to go more inwards. And then at a certain point, everything grows back. You feel the joy, and you feel like your seeds are planted, and then it starts growing again, and you feel light again. So everything has seasons, cycles. So
That's beautiful.
yeah.
Was there ever a moment in your life where you felt like, oh, here I'm struggling? This is
Yes, of course. I struggle. Like, I think we all get so much in our lives. But for me, I found out that there are two ways. Or you are a victim, and everything happens to you, like, and you're like drowning, or you see it as an opportunity for growth, and it's there to make you stronger and to let you learn to deal with it and become a nicer and better person. And it can also be together, of course, because some days you feel that you're drowning, although like, okay, I'm now into victimship, and I'm acting like that. But then if you have like a bird eye perspective, and you zoom out a bit, and you have like also a little bit of a, not too heavy side on yourself, and you see like, okay, I have to um see the joy in it, and like, okay, you're okay. All will be fine. See from a little bit of a different perspective, and you're not a victim. You will be like stronger. You will be a nicer person, and baby steps are steps. Just go for it. You're
like
not
that.
alone.
Baby steps are also steps.
Yeah.
And where does that feeling you're not alone come from?
I think I also found out that when you have times in your life, and they're more dark and more heavy and more challenging, that the people around you, it's a crack in your system where the light comes in. And it is also like opportunity that people around you have a possibility to help you. And, you can show a softer part of yourself. And I found out that it was wonderful also for the people I love, to see not only someone who's always doing like great, and only going, and always everything went amazing, and then of course with some heavy parts in your life, then you feel vulnerable. But if you can open up and make it a power to that you carry your, and that people come close and be there for you, I think that's something very amazing.
Was it difficult to ask, for example, for help or opening up in the beginning?
Yeah, for me, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. I think asking for help, I love to give, and I think also to that if people are very nice for you, I think it's more difficult. I like to be very nice to people and help out, and the other way around. It's something that I had to learn, and now I can say that I really like it, and I'm not afraid to be more vulnerable and more, soft, and I'm just learning,
Do you ever grab a protein bar thinking you're doing something good for yourself and then you turn it over and it reads like a chemistry experiment? I've had so many protein bars in the past that left me bloated, jittery, or crashing an hour later. That's why I personally like the Prime protein bars from Equip Foods. It's the first grass-fed beef protein bar I have found with 20 grams of clean protein and 11 real food ingredients. Things like collagen and beef tallow and naturally sweetened with dates and honey. Free from whey and other dairy derivatives, seed oils, gluten and artificial additives. They are also third-party tested for heavy metals, pesticides, microplastics and molds. So when they say clean, they can actually back it up. My personal favorite is the chocolate prime bar, but you can also choose other delicious flavors like peanut butter, churro, or mixed berry. For a limited time, you can get 25% off one-time purchases and 40% off your first subscription by heading to equipfoods.com/cm20 and using the code CM20 at the checkout. That's equipfoods.com/cm20 and use the code CM20 at the checkout. Thank you to Equip Foods for being a partner of my podcast, Real, Raw and Authentic.
For someone who would be maybe just listening or watching this right now, who is like feeling lonely or feels, and it's a lot of times men and women alike, I think, feeling that I gotta manage by myself. I have this persona to the outside world, or that level of sometimes even very successful people feel that pressure of having to show a face to the outside world that everything is always okay, because they feel like they're not even allowed to feel a low day or having struggles in their life. What would you give them as a piece of advice based on your personal experience?
Yeah, I would say like just maybe it is in the beginning very like, scary. But I have to say that it is amazing to peel off the onion of layers. And I think the closer you come to the heart and opening your heart more and be more in love, just, in love, I mean like more friendly to people you don't know, more kind to yourself, but also just opening up and ask for help and be like softer. I think that's like the biggest, it's a beautiful adventure to try. Just try for a bit and just be open to someone you trust and tell them that you're struggling and that you are scared of opening up. I think that's already like something, so big. And then you will see that people will come to you and will be there for you.
That's beautiful. Also, energy-wise, you experience yourself also differently.
Yeah, I think, of course, it's very scary in the beginning, but I have to say now that I can advise it everyone because then also if people are the real people around you. And it made my friendship so much more intense and beautiful and, so much more fun. Yeah, because you can show the real you, in all different aspects. And my life is more light, although there's a lot going on always.
Would you say, when you say real you, immediately for me pops up the authentic you. It goes a little bit for me in line with doing the healing work, going more inward, exploring who you really are. Was this always very clear to you? Was this a strong connection you always held, or was it something that somehow in your life started sort of making more sense and you started reconnecting, or is it linked to a purpose that you found?
I was not overthinking, but now I only can tell that in this whole journey of the last, let's say, 2019 till now, that I can tell that I found back more the young girl in me, like so more the child, And I think the same as, for example, dogs have, animals, they're so in the present moment and so real. And I think children also, they're amazing, they know how special their own life force is, and they are just playing and in the moment. And I had to be more in the moment, and by, I think, just with all the small steps I made, I found out that nature and also seeing sort of everything as a miracle instead of like, almost, yeah, how do you say, running around and not having time to think about life, how
Yeah.
special life is.
Being busy,
Yeah.
constantly in the doing.
Yeah.
Was there something specific 2019 that made that shift for you, or did something happen, or was there something, a moment of awareness?
I think this the most spectacular thing of life is that you live it forward, but you understand it backwards. And I think there are a few things happened. Becoming a mother, way back, that made me like a different person, because then you experience something magical, there is a baby growing in you. And I think the power of creation of the woman, that was something magical to experience. And meeting this amazing new human, new life, that really made me like, I think, yeah, I can say this was one of the most magical moments in life. And then I think a few more things happened. I think 2019, some things happened. 2020, a few things happened. And I think, of course, being as a coincidence in a place as Jura I never heard of, it was just at a bed and breakfast of people who lived in my village for so long, now living in, another village in France. And then, the moon came in my life because of...
That was 2019, 2020.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit before, but 2019 was, I was photographing for Vogue and making a portrait of someone who is very authentic and lives, in nature, and that really also did something with me. And 2020, I think the whole lockdown really did also something with me. Yeah, sometimes I get some things in, and I had like very vivid dreams with some information in it. And yeah, I had all time to do like a deep dive, and, found also like more meaning in life and saw a bigger picture. And yeah, I think, it's all like little puzzle pieces in the end that make your life more complete by just living it.
Were you not afraid of change?
Yes, I think, of course, but it was in small steps. So it did not feel as a big change, because I was still working as an editor, and I had just a company together with my sister. She's an actress and television host. She was still doing this kind of things. I was still doing photo shoots for Vogue. And then we had like the company just as an extra. So it was not like that it was changed by day, It was just following a passion, a very big passion that came new in my life. And I think something else decided that it was growing so big that, for example, my fashion life became smaller. And then the other part became bigger, and it inspired me so much. And it took more energy from me. So I had to, of course, focus also on what they were asking from me. Another languages, like from Dutch, we went to English, and the year after to German.
Wow.
There was so much going on.
A lot of new things happened.
New things happened. So it came in it came in naturally, So I'm not an overthinker. I'm quite, flowy person.
But sometimes people that maybe goes with overthinking, but also sometimes with, I think also it's a little bit like generational kind of thing. We think, oh, I've decided that career, I need to stay in this, I know this. You have been incredibly successful in what you were doing.
Yeah.
And then letting that go, was that coming with grief or difficulties, or was it an easy
It's still not gone completely, For me, I'm just me. So it's not that there's a new me. It's just the same me, but like there is extra. There's more me, I think.
Oh.
So that's how I feel. So I can do tomorrow if they call me and they're like, oh, we have something very special. Do you want to do it? Or I would like to take a portrait of someone who I think is very inspiring for Vogue. I just call them, I go for a coffee and I talk with them and like, oh, shall I produce it for you? Shall I just make it, come true? And then I will do it, But then, for example, it's 1 week a year and I do 3 different shootings in 1 week somewhere in the world. And then 50 other weeks, or 51 other weeks, I'm more concentrating on my own business.
That's amazing.
So it's not that I chose never to do it anymore. It's more like that there's more energy flowing into this company and in my interest of exploring these new worlds and sharing. I think sharing is for me the most important thing. I love to share and I love to connect with women all around the world and of course also men. But, the moon is feminine. It's all about feelings. And I think in a world that is quite tough at the moment, we need the softer parts of us and getting more into feelings, more in softness, more, soft for ourselves, kind for ourselves. Because if you feel the kindness to yourself, you become also kinder to other people because everyone is just having their own struggles. And that people look very successful or amazing. It doesn't mean they go through things, but it's also, I completely understand that you don't want to share with the whole world what's going on with you. You have your inner circle, and I don't feel that I want to share with the whole world where I'm going through to just show that I'm a real person. I know I'm a real person, and I think it's amazing if you have your inner circle and you feel so seen and so safe to share it with them and not with the whole world.
I find these the most powerful feelings when you feel you have people that see you.
Yeah.
We feel safe, where you can just be your authentic self.
Yeah, I'm always myself everywhere, also just for people I don't know. But it's more like, for me, for example, I don't feel the need to show all parts of me, for example, in the outer world on social media. No, I'm not that person. I don't have the feeling like, oh, I'm real, so I'm crying in the camera, or no, I don't think that's for me something that is too dramatic, and no, I don't like that.
So you rather stick to the inner circle.
Yeah,
the
and this is the people who know my love. They know my humor. I have a lot of humor, and I love to be very playful. And I think that's for me something that is sacred for the inner circle.
Have you ever done some inner child work, or is this something you've also more linked to the work with the moon, that you're more connected with that playful side of you? Or how did you find these? I think they sound very raw, authentic, real, literally like the podcast, but these parts of you that are always existed, but how did you dig them back up, or were you always connected to them?
I was I think always connected with them, but in a way it became a little bit less during the years that I was really like working, in a rhythm, and I was very busy. So then I think it flows a little bit away, because in the beginning I was working, for example, I launched El Grow in Holland, and that's a glossy for teenage girls. And I was younger myself, so I was, I think, 23 something. And it was fantastic because it was extremely playful. So we did the most crazy stuff. So that part of me could shine, and it was next level original, authentic. It was crazy, we were thinking about, we had lunch and then we ate a watermelon, and then we were like, let's make a helmet out of it. And then we just got like all the watermelon out, eating the watermelon, and then just like the outside was, left over. And then we made a helmet with something amazing under it, fun and playful. And I think those kind of things, that was typical me to blend in. But then, of course, afterwards, Glamour came to Holland. So I launched Glamour for Van den Nast. And then afterwards, I helped launching Vogue in Holland. But of course, it's a little bit more serious in a way. There's still playfulness, and that's my shootings were quite like with a lot of love and beauty and dynamics. But it was not that crazy what I did before. So in my private life, I still had that childish kind of thing in a good way, like, hide and seek with my nephews or with my own children. It's my favorite play. And, also exploring and, drawing out of the lines, what I always say, like, just try new things. That's always what I loved. But I have to say that, of course, it was less. And now it comes back. I think also my dog helped me. She's 3 years in my life, and I think she has that same magic as children has. So they are so in the moment. And she's so happy to see other dogs. She's so happy just when she's somewhere in nature and she's, playing around for pose in the air. And, she's fun. And she's always in this moment. And that also helped me to be more in the moment and feel more joy and feel more, more alive,
Wow, this is it. I think a lot of people, particularly when they're stuck in sometimes not even noticing survival mode, that's being on stress all day long, all the time, since we can be stuck in it for decades. We forget these two things that we basically, I see them almost as core basic needs that we've forgotten somewhere. Kids naturally do it, pets naturally do it, joy.
In the moment, because in the moment, most of the time, everything is fine. Yeah, it's only the yesterday and the past, is heavy, and this happened to me, and this, and what will tomorrow bring? Yeah, that's awful to think of, because we don't know. We don't know. But in the here and now, most of the time, everything is fine. And most of the people recognize it. Yeah. And just to trust and be grateful in the moment, and just see like, okay. And also train it, because of course, sometimes I'm also like, oh, I don't know. For example, this podcast was like, oh, maybe I'll just cancel it because, I have to be in camera. And what do I say? Blah, blah, blah. And it's in English. It's not my mother language. And then I spoke with my 14-year-old boy, and I said, like, my son, and I said, like, okay, I'm going to show you that sometimes when something is a little bit like, excited in a way of like, did you fear something, that you can also say like, okay, just go for it, and just in the end, it will be okay.
I'm grateful you didn't cancel.
No, I don't like to cancel, of course, but it's more that you sometimes feel like,
Self-doubt.
Yeah,
kicks in.
definitely.
I feel like a lot of, I think men and women have it, women sometimes even more, that they are so not used to
use the
stepping
voice
up for themselves, stepping into their power, that it feels like almost, why me?
I know, and I think it's also my whole line I found out, because I'm one of a twin. So then you're never alone in the spotlight. So I was always together with my brother. So my birthday is always with someone. So I'm used to share, and I'm very confident with like together, standing on a chair together, holding hands, like, oh, it's your birthday, whatever. And then, for example, my sister and I, we were launching we had a business together. And she is a television host and an actress. So she loved the spotlight. So for me, it was fantastic. I would just be there to create. And I love creating and, the knowledge in this product and make them beautiful. And she was, of course, very natural in if there was a camera or whatever, then she spoke more and I was more sitting next to it and more shaking my head like, yeah.
But now you're shifting it.
And now my sister, 2.5 years ago, she went another path and she said like, okay, I go to do other things. And that was, of course, for me, a little bit of a shock. Not because I love what she does. And I think it's very healthy what she did and beautiful. But for me, it was like, oh my goodness, now I have to do it by myself. And also this kind of things, traveling and speak about the moon calendar. Then you find out like, this is, this little child in me that's insecure to do things just by herself.
Wow, but
it's fine,
You're taking yourself by the hand.
Yeah, and expose it. I'm like, okay, let's go for it. And I'm happy she's here. And you're so kind.
That's beautiful. That's so powerful. But this is the hardest thing to do when you're so used to, and that's what we as adults are. We're so used to living a certain rhythm, a certain life. And we can sometimes get stuck in it even if we don't like it.
No.
What's your biggest advice that you would give someone if a friend was next to you right now and they would be like, I'm not happy with the life that I'm living, but I'm scared? What would you tell them to get over fear? Or what practical thing do you do?
I think I would just ask the question, what really excites you in life? What makes you happy? So it's more like the question, what makes you happy? So when you do something or or maybe you're in a place, and I think if you ask those kind of questions, then you know also like, is it the right path that I'm in? And it does not mean that you have to let your old world directly fall apart.
Yeah.
But you can also start it small as an extra and then see. And if it excites you, it will be bigger. And then in the end, you can just,
expand.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you speak to, let's say you call them your group, I think.
Right.
You're a team.
Yeah.
Your angels, is it the universe that you're referring to, or what exactly is it that you're speaking to?
I think it's strange because it sounds, of course, very weird, but I can just tell for myself that I feel that we all have like a team. We all have an invisible team. Some people can see them. I can't, but I can feel them. And I think we all have this amazing group of energy around you and they support you through life. So, and I think if you're open for it, you just can start by just asking them something. And then from your heart, you have to give it a go. And it doesn't cost anything. And then ask something. And if it happens, or you feel that you get supported with this difficult thing you're in or whatever, just thank them. And then, you're going to see that you trust it more and more. And you're going to feel, I hope for you, that you're going to feel it yourself, that you are supported. And then, it's just, co-creating. You're not alone. You're never alone because we are all one. So, yeah, if you know that everything works together,
I like that. We're all one and we're all love.
Yeah, we
like
are
that.
all
Yeah.
love. So, and fear separates us, and programming gives us the newspapers. And
Yeah, so true.
yeah, and if you just rip it off and you see how amazing an animal or like a child approach life, I think that's very wise, and to go back to this simplicity of life.
You mentioned earlier something about, of course, we spoke now about the universe and certain signs. Sometimes we are guided by something. You mentioned purpose, passion.
Yeah.
You found yours with the moon calendar, passion, a purpose in life. But the moon was somehow always in your life, and you shared that with me. Can you share a bit more in what that things is?
I think life is also fun, don't make it too heavy. And I think the fun thing is that a friend of mine, he was like, yeah, there's a German guy, a friend of mine, and he's visiting the Netherlands, and can you give him a little bit of advice? Yes, like amazing vintage sunglasses, blah blah. I was like, of course, my house is open. I make him a tea, and he was just visiting me, and he was very nice. And he saw the moon calendar, and there was like still our name on, like Lexmond.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said like, oh, that's very original. You know what it means, eh? And I was like, what do you mean? It's my name? And he was like, really, your name, but you do something with the moon? I was like, yeah. He said like lex is the law in Latin, and mond is the moon in German. So your name is the law of the moon. And I was like, wow. And then something else happened, because, sometimes you are not conscious about things. Things happen, but there are some signs in your life, if you look back. And then I think most of the time for me, it's more fun, it's more playful, because it's not, I feel that the energy where I work with my team, it's light.
Yeah.
They have a lot of humor, I think. So it's not a heavy thing, or not something, that I'm not grounded. It's just like playful. I'm just playing with them, and they play with me, and they help me a bit, and they let me laugh more during the day. So for example, what happened, I was showing one of my friends that the house where the boys were born, and then it's an old monastery at the canals, and we were in front of this amazing big door, and above the door there was a glass artwork, and it's all signs of the moon. So the waxing, the waning, the new and the full, all in the glass above the entry. And I was like, whoa, I was not busy with the moon. I knew it was there, but I didn't, no, because you forget about it. And then I saw it again. I was like, wow, this is such a fun thing, Both boys are born. I got my second born in the house because I didn't make it to the hospital. So, the first moment the moon came in my life with this moment that we had to stop over in the Jura to stay there and hear this story about that this whole, environment over like the whole area is living by the energy of the moon. And I was still living in that house. But it was not that I was not overthinking it, not at all. Later on, I saw like, wow, there were already signs, And also my fashion shoots, I had a lot of moons in just as a scenery kind of thing. Because, it's a beautiful thing. And we live under the same moon, and she's feminine, she's beautiful. And I think the moon also shows that no matter phase she's in, she's always whole. So even if you go through very difficult times and you don't feel whole, you don't feel complete, you're still, it's all one. So also your shadow sides, also your parts you're not proud of. It's part of you, and it's okay. We all have it.
I love that, accepting all parts of you.
I think so, because that's, I think, the problem that sometimes people do when they enter into spirituality. If you're not rooted, and if you're not down to earth, and you're just fly out and you think it's, you're somewhere on another planet. For me, it's all about like, you're here. I feel that I'm a soul in a body, just here for a journey. And for my feelings, I'm very rooted, and I love earth a lot. I love earth. I love the flowers. I love the mountains. I love the snow. I love the oceans. I love all animals. So for me, I'm so happy to be here and to get know like deeper parts of like what we are, who we are, why we are here, these magical things. If you just can have like small bits of it, for me it's exciting. And I think there is so much wisdom, ancient wisdom, and if you dig into those kind of things, also with the cosmology, there are like leaders. As long as people live, emperors, kings, the highest functions of politics, they all have like astrologers next to them. So,
wow.
And they're not open about it, but if you search for it, they all, I don't want to name all those people, but you can dig in it, and they work with astrologists because there is a rhythm, and they know. So it's not something, just
so
let it work for them.
base the decision also on the moon?
Yeah, like not only on the moon, it's just like other planets, and like as they say, as above, as below. So everything is one and has like, and they are having an influence on each other. So certain planets in certain signs make that you, for example, have a generation, that you have a specific generation, like the hippies, like the people in the 60s. It's 10 years, a specific generational planet, with like a sign that gives a lot of, Aquarius kind of feel, more connected with each other, wild-hearted. And then, for example, it goes in another sign, and you get a different kind of, the 50s, for example, let's say, I don't know all by head, but let's say Capricorn, more into, structure and more, under pressure.
Yeah, so me, of a Capricorn. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have all different kind of signs, and when they move through the planets, there is a certain kind of energy, and astrologers know. And also like these amazing leaders worldwide, also back in the days, it was in old Greece or the Romans or the people who live in nature, they know.
So if I look at a horoscope, would it be exactly the same like a moon calendar if I read about something specific about my astrology? Or
And the most amazing thing of astrology is it's a blueprint. So for example, the moment you were born, it's like a specific moment in time. So it's like a fingerprint of universe. So there is a place, there is a date, there is a time, and that's a unique you. So people who read it, for example, when you meet people from India and there is a baby born, then astrologer comes to the house and read the whole line of what the baby come and bring to the world. They see a lot of your identity in this astrology. So also of people like going to date each other or marry each other, they know exactly where the difficulties are. So if it is a wise thing to make it as a match, those kind of things. So it's something extremely unique. But it's more than the sun and the moon. So it's like all the different planets and how they are positioned the moment you were born.
oh my God, wow.
Yeah. That's something
very specific.
amazing to find out for yourself, because it's a blueprint and it helps you through life. And also when you have kids or you have a partner, or those kind of things, of course, make sense.
What will we find? Can I look at a page? What will we find in the moon calendar? For example, for today.
For today, yeah, for today it is. The thing is that we have like the weekly cosmic update. You scan it, and then you have like an amazing report just for free, and it gives an insight of what's going on with the planets. So we have this upcoming week, 2 planets, they go straight again. So there were 5 planets retrograde, so they went like backwards. So that is sort of like everything goes more inwards, and it's a difficult time. So it's not a time to start new ideas, new plans, new businesses. It's not very keen to, for example, marry someone, to sign contracts, because it's all about that things are, not going straight.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh. And now this week it's 2 planets go straight. So everything is starting to move again a bit. So, but a few planets still are in retrograde till the beginning of next year, so 2026. Yeah, it makes sense, also, for example, planning something very important like contracts and a wedding, or, you go to start your business. I would definitely advise never do it on a retrograde.
So not now is the time.
No.
Then after January. maybe.
then of course that makes the moon calendar very I think handy and beautiful and very down to earth to see okay, what's going on. And if there's something very big happening, we'll also say it, we don't advise to, and then you can let it work for you.
Oh, that's helpful. That's really insightful.
Yeah.
And then the pages are just small daily
reminders.
reminders.
And of course we mentioned already, there's a full moon coming up with this kind of energy, that there is a retrograde coming up. So we mentioned it already in the moon calendar.
Yeah.
But I think the weekly cosmic update every Monday, and when you scan it, it's something amazing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's really nice. And when you say full moon, I immediately think of bad sleep. For me, full moon is associated with bad sleep, no matter whether I know it or not. Why do you think that is? Is there some sort of proof for this, or is this very individual experience?
Many people has it. It's because I think the moon attracts the oceans, the
current.
tides.
Yeah, tides.
And we are existing of 80% of water. So it does a lot with our emotions too, and our whole physical experience. And then the more it goes to full, the more intense everything runs in your whole system. So that makes, the excitement. And that I think that's how it sort of easily is.
Wow, I like that. But is there something that, for example, if I'm a bad sleeper, that I could be doing then in this moment?
I think you can, of course, do things like don't drink coffee, alcohol. Be of course, very don't drink alcohol. I think with the full moon, or just be a little bit aware of it, because it can make it that the sleep is even worse, or your reaction is worse. I know that we spoke with people from the police office, and they have more crime with the full moon. When you speak with people in the hospital, I think more babies are born with full moons, so that's something extreme. Everything is more intense, so that's what we found out.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I have always one question that I ask everyone who comes on my podcast, and feel free to go wherever you feel like, or whatever comes up for you in the moment, and answer as long or as short as you feel like. If you could travel back in time, it can be far into your own life, it can be yesterday, you can decide. But what piece of advice would you give yourself, and what will you say to yourself, to your past self, with everything that you know until today?
I think that for me, the approach I have now in life, that all the things that happen to me, also the more extreme or heavy things, back in the days, I felt so much as a victim. And now I would say to the younger self, it is wonderful what happens, because you would, for example, you learn so much for it, and you will build from this part, you will build something so amazing. So be thankful for the person who did this to you. I think, so not be the victim. I was in, so many cases I felt, so bad and so sad and so, a victim.
Helpless sometimes.
Yeah. And it was done to me, and how was it possible? And I did I gave everything, I was so kind, and I loved my job so much, or I loved, how was it possible that people were doing this to me? And now I would say always fine, there's a bigger thing waiting for you. There's a bigger picture.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
So it helped me. So I would say that to my younger self.
Oh, that's really nice. And moving forward, for maybe future projects, but also personal for yourself, what do you wish for yourself moving forward? Maybe 2026, next year. How do you see yourself?
I would say keep on breathing, keep on having the joy also in more challenging times. Be brave. And if everything is a little bit too much, just see it from a bird eye perspective. Zoom out and stay open to the amazing people around you, because it's okay that they take care of you, and that my vulnerability is also a power.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Vulnerability can be also power.
Yeah.
That is so important. I love that you said that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Jetteke, where can people who are now curious about Moon Sisters, the moon calendar, about you, where can they find you? Where can they find the moon calendar? Please share.
They can find the moon calendar on moonsisters.com. So I hope they still be there. I only print once, so it is when it's sold out, I don't print extra. So I have 3 languages: German, English, and Dutch, and you can find it over there. And yeah, on the Instagram, you can also find Moon Sisters. So.
Yeah. Wonderful. Do you have one here where we can show it?
This is from last year. So the new one has a different cover.
We need to hold it here.
This is the old one.
This is the old one?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I have that one. It's very nice. You guys me through my weeks, and it's very powerful. I like it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you're more curious about Moon Sisters, the moon calendar, but also Jetteke, please make sure that you go on her website, that you check out her Instagram, follow her, because she has a wonderful journey, not just personal, but also with the calendar, that she will help you on your healing journey. Jetteke, do you have anything else that you want to say to people, that you want to say as a last thing into the camera, to the audience, people who might be watching?
I think I wish, of course, everyone an amazing 2026, full of love, full of joy, full of personal growth, and I think also of that you're open for new things, for adventure, and for just be a little bit more open for the magic around you. I think life is so beautiful, and in the end, it's going so quick. So it's, I think, a pity if you miss out.
Oh, thank you so much, Jetteke. With that beautiful message, I'm gonna end this beautiful, wonderful, and empowering episode of today. If you're curious about Jetteke, about the moon calendar, go to Moon Sisters, check out the website, get yourself for 2026 the calendar. It's a beautiful one with daily reminders, but also with the weekly cosmic updates, which I find so beautiful. They can guide you. And follow also Jetteke, please, on Instagram. For now, I want to say thank you so much for listening, for watching this beautiful episode. Please let me know in the comments what you found the most interesting, most empowering about this episode, what takeaways you have from this episode. Subscribe also, please, to my podcast, so that I can make more episodes just like the one of today that help you on your healing journey, wherever you're at. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please take good care of yourself. And I'll see you next time, wherever that's gonna be.